Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I am bringing you round one from the Sutton Coldfield League Challenge. Huge thank you to my good friend Ben Rollison, who has recorded this for me, sent it over so you guys get to see this. A whole bunch of you lately have been asking for more tournament games. You like watching the tournament games, and it looks like we got a mulligan from Jono there. You want to see how good players play. You want to see examples of good players playing good decks. So make sure you watch them. Get your friends to watch them. Click that like button, etc. The more views, the more popular these videos are, the more of them I will do. And if you are a newer player, you know, pay attention to this, watch what they're doing. One of the best ways to improve is by watching other players play. And we've got a couple of doozies for you today. On the left, we've got Jonathan Cowley, or Jono as he shall be known. He's playing Rainbow Road. I've done a video about Rainbow Road. I will put a link in the description. Jono is a very experienced player. And on the right, we've got Luke Kirkham. He came 10th at UK Nationals last year. He had over 800 championship points going in. Clearly one of the best players in Europe. I say that with quite a lot of certainty. Now he starts with Mew, uses a trainer's mail to grab a Lysander. Now if he doesn't have a supporter, that is not the one he wanted to see. He's going to need to get something going here. That Mew does not have a huge HP at all. It is the Mew from Fates Collide. It's got 50 HP. Now, Luke does get a Fighting Fury bout on there. Pop it up to 90 HP. Gets a Dark Energy and passes. Not a great start here. The good news is Rainbow Road is a slower deck. Now, that Volcanion could be indicative of a Volcanion deck, but I can tell you now, it is Rainbow Road. Now, it's possible here, if Jono's playing Max Elixir, if he gets a Xeneas on the bench, hits a Max Elixir and a double colourless energy, and gets a Float Stone for his active Volcanion EX, then there is a possibility here he can get the KO this turn. So we see an Ultra Ball straight away for a Hooper. Now that Rainbow Force attack is going to do 10 damage plus 30 damage for every different type of Pokemon on your bench. Now right away we'll have, assuming he gets a Xeneas out, there's 5 different types right away. We got Water and Fire with your Volcanion. We've got Dragon with your Kingdra EX. We have got Psychic with Hooper, and we're going to have Colourless with Shaman. Now we do see an energy on that Kingdra, so no Xeneas this turn. Now there is a Xeneas, but not one that's going to be powered up. If I had to guess, I think it's a very strong bet that at some point this game, Jono is going to be using a Ninja Boy to turn that Kingdra into a Xeneas. Now I know not every deck plays Ninja Boy nowadays, but a deck like this I can see the point of doing so. Although Kingdra can do 20 damage and discard a Stadium for a single colourless energy, not the best attack ever, but you never know. So we do see a Super Rod coming down here, just getting rid of some resources he's already wasted. Not a bad start for Jono here. Oh, and he's got the Shaman for 6. That is very good going here. Although he's got a whole bunch of energy and not much else. That was not the best Shaman I've ever seen. Whole bunch of energy and not a huge amount else there. Oh, free energy, Xeneas, double colourless, and a Versus Seeker. So although we got a whole bunch of Pokemon down, that was not particularly that much better of a turn from Jono than Luke had. And now he's got those Shamans on the bench, and those Shamans are vulnerable. Something like an Yveltal or a Darkrai is not really going to struggle too much trying to KO those things. Now, we do get a double colourless on the Mew, and maybe here Luke is going to be able to go ahead and maybe Ninja Boy? And if he Ninja Boys into an Yveltal, then that would be a very, very good start here. What Luke actually did there, he used Mew's attack, commonly known as Encounter. Not an attack we see very often. Search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. Now, Mew does have that attack. You don't see it used very often at all. Now, Jono, for his part, attached an energy to his Volcanion and just passed. Is it worth building up the energy on that bench Xerneas? I would certainly think so. And we see a Y-Cyclone there. Mew's ability allows him to copy the attacks of any of your basic Pokemon in play. Not basic Pokemon generally, only your basic Pokemon. And what he did there was he used Y-Cyclone to do 90 damage and actually switched an energy to the Yveltal on the bench. Now, oh, and he manually retreats. That is a pretty hefty manual retreat there. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to give away, especially giving up that double colourless as well. I mean, this is an awkward matchup, because on the one hand, Jono is going to be using a non-EX attacker, so he can prey on EXs, so maybe letting that Volcanion go down's not the end of the world. Go 2 prizes down, but make the comeback with your non-EX attacker. On the other hand, Jono's just wasting a whole bunch of energy here. Now, here comes the Lysander, and Luke is loving this right now. Lovely play from Luke. Now he hits the max elixir. Does he get the energy? If you're playing double colourless, you're probably only running 8 or 9 basics. You'd only expect to hit half of your max elixirs, but Luke does hit the max elixir there. What basically happened on Jono's last turn was he wasted free energy that he could have put on his Yveltal, and he's now, and that Mew from Fates Collide has free retreat. So now Luke's only played a Lysander, but he's able to get the KO on that Volcanion, take 2 prizes, take a 2-prize lead, and even though he hasn't played a supporter, this is not going so bad at all. Jono's thrown that energy away. Of course, let's suppose that Jono had put the energy on the Xerneas. Well, we knew that Luke had a Lysander. He got it off the trainer's mail. Jono knew that Luke had a Lysander. So Luke just would have KO'd the Yveltal, oh sorry, the Xerneas anyway. So actually, not the end of the world. Jono there just using Kingdom's attack to do 20 damage. So Jono did throw the energy away. I suppose the one bonus, I mean, Jono was in a difficult position there, because what he could have done was put the energy on the Yveltal. Luke KOs the Yveltal, but he only gets 1 prize rather than 2 prizes from KOing the Volcanion. But because Luke KO'd the Volcanion, look at Jono's side of the board, he has 2 Xerneas out now. And he only had 1 Xerneas out on a full bench. So had Jono been building up those Xerneas on the bench, Luke could have just tried to Lysander every time a Xerneas went down, really locked Jono out of the game. So as much as getting rid of that energy might have looked dodgy, and it was, and as annoying as it was that the Volcanion just got Lysander KO'd anyway, and that was annoying, Jono's got 2 Xerneas on the bench, and as we've already talked about this game, Jono's deck is built for comebacks. It's built to go down a couple of prizes and then sit there going, I'm smashing you with Xerneas. And yeah, your opponent can, and there we see the Xerneas coming up, and a Y-Cyclone here. Now there is resistance from Xerneas, but it will do just enough. So we've got 6 energy total, plus the 20 base is 140, minus the 20 for the resistance is 120, which is exactly the HP. So it did take all 5 of those energy to get a KO there, but he still got the KO. Now we see a end coming down from Jono here, and could this be the start of a comeback? I mean, he's still going to have to hit a max elixir. Now, I haven't seen one yet. It might be he discarded one quickly when I wasn't watching. That does sometimes happen in videos. It is hard to see and remember every single card that hits a discard from Ultra Balls, etc. But otherwise, Jono needs to get something going here. Luke's taken 3 prizes. He's really working on numbers 4 and 5 with that Kingdra. Oh, he does play Max Elixir. So now, with a Max Elixir and a double colourless, but will he have enough different types? I don't think that he will. That's only 3 different types. That's only 100 damage at the moment with Rainbow Force. So he's going to need some different Pokemon. There's a Jirachi. but that's still not enough damage. So what he's actually doing, he's manually retreating the Kingdra to the Jirachi, and he's going to discard that double colourless energy, do 10 damage, and that Jirachi is now invulnerable. So Luke needs a Versus Seeker. Luke needs a Versus Seeker for a Lysander to KO something on the bench. That is ideally what he's looking for here. Or he can just build up. Just go, you know what? Okay, fine, I'm not winning this particular turn. I'm not doing anything great this turn, but I'm up by 3 prizes. Now, what I was starting to say a minute ago, one of the things about Jono's deck is he's got that non-EX attacker. So even if somebody like Luke sits there and just starts Lysandering up the bench Pokemon and KOing them, Jono's taking out the attackers, but Jono's attackers aren't getting taken out. So your resources are being, or your opponent's resources are being whittled down, yours aren't, and you can play cards like N. So in any game where you're taking out your opponent's bench Pokemon while they're taking out your attackers, you'll usually end up in a situation where you haven't got much to go on. Now, we did see Luke whiff the Max Elixir there, but that's not that surprising. As I've said, I imagine Luke's playing 8 or 9 basic Dark. That's standard when you're playing double colourless. So you would expect to hit 2 out of 4. Here comes Max Elixir number 3. He does hit this one, it looks like. So we'd expect him to miss the 4th, but you never know. Now, straight away, he pops it on the Darkrai. That Darkrai is a fairly powerful one. 20 damage plus 20 for every energy, every dark energy, I should say, attached to all of your Pokemon. So this is a way you can actually start smashing away with Dark Pulse, which is the attack's name, and even when the Darkrai gets KO'd, you don't lose all of your energy. You lose the 2 that are attached to Darkrai, but you get to keep the energy attached to all of your other Pokemon, which can only be a good thing. Now, looks like Luke's got a decision to make here. He's thinking, he's got a Lysander in hand. No, he hasn't, sir. He's got a Fighting Fury belt. Now, he's only doing 90 to hit a Pokemon with no energy, which is not really what he wants to be doing here. Now, he has got the Lysander on the Kingdra. Now, it's only going to be 110. 4 energy is 80, plus the 20 base is 100, plus the Fighting Fury belt is 110. So it's not a KO yet, but it's doing enough to put the pressure on. Leaves Kingdra with 60 HP remaining. Means that Kingdra is, shall we say, on borrowed time. And Luke's not in a huge hurry here. There's no energy on the only Xerneas on the bench. And really, Jono needs to get energy on that Xerneas in one go. Because if he just puts 1 energy on the Xerneas, Luke is going to try and go double colourless Lysander, KO that Xerneas, which will then be doing just enough with the resistance, and all of a sudden, Luke's now rolling. And that's a challenge for Jono here. Luke's in this excellent position. We assume he's playing 2 Lysander, 4 Versus Seeker, so we know he's got a couple of Lysanders left for this game, and I'm assuming that's going to be an N from Jono. No, a Sycamore. Oh, there's a lot of energy going there. And again, he's got double colourless but nothing else. And if he puts a double colourless on that Xerneas, then Luke will just need 1 energy and a Lysander to get the KO. And then it's 1 EX KO and he wins the game. Jono is really being put in an awkward position here. Luke didn't have a fast start to this game. Fair enough. But what he does have, he's been able to keep the pressure on. His dark attackers don't need that much energy. He's hit a couple of max elixirs and he's had access to Lysander all game. And he's been able to just sit there and pick away at Jono's board. This hasn't been the smashing attack we would expect from some dark decks, but it's serving Luke quite nicely. Now we see 10 damage from the Jirachi, but of course no special energy to be discarded means that there is no energy to get rid of and no immunity from the Jirachi here. Which means, now does Luke have the energy Lysander? If he does, this will be huge. Oh, he's got the enhanced hammer. That's almost as good. Not quite as good, but almost. Now he KOs a Jirachi. It's unlikely that Jono is going to be able to build up a Xeneas next turn, which means Luke just needs one KO on an EX and he wins the game. And honestly here, I think that enhanced hammer might have been better than a Lysander KO on the Xeneas. Here we see a Sycamore coming down. Oh no. Is he... Oh, it's an Ultra Ball. Sorry, I thought he was using a Versus Seeker there. So he's actually using an Ultra Ball to grab an Yveltal. And now here he has no energy on the Yveltal, but you'll notice there's already... Oh, I love this play. This play is so good. That Kingdra's got 60 HP left. Luke just used Y Cyclone to put an energy on the Mew. By putting the baby Yveltal, the Fright Knight one, on the bench, Mew can now copy that Yveltal's attack, doing 60 to the active and 60 to a benched EX. Which means next turn, if Luke attacks with that Mew, he wins the game. Straight away by KOing that Kingdra. Luke put himself down to a 0 card. Is 0 card hand? No, he might have 1 card left there to the side. But Luke there, he doesn't care. That was such a good play. He set himself up beautifully. Popping that Fright Knight Yveltal on the bench. He's even got enough energy still on that Yveltal EX to do the retreating. Which means straight away he's got free energy on the Mew. Enough to copy that Pitch Black Spear. And KO that Kingdra, whether it's in the active, whether it's on the bench. Now there's a Joltik from Jono. If he's got a Mr. Mime, now would be the time to play it. Mr. Mime protecting your bench Pokemon, but I don't think he does. I'd be surprised, to be honest. Partly nobody plays it really at the moment, and partly it's a fairy type, and this Rainbow Road deck depends on playing as many different types of Pokemon as you can. And he's already playing a fairy Pokemon, so he's going to retreat the Kingdra, but it doesn't matter. Pitch Black Spear will hit him. On the bench, Luke is going to win the game next turn. And I don't think there's anything Jono can do to get around it, unless that is a Fighting Fury belt on the Kingdra. I thought it was an EXP share. I'm fairly sure it's an EXP share. But if it is a Fighting Fury belt, that will save him. I'm fairly sure it's an EXP share, though. And then he's going to do 60 to that, 60 to the Kingdra. It is an EXP share. It gets KO'd. That is one of the best plays to end the game I have seen for ages. Yes, it was a fairly one-sided game, but that play there by Luke to finish out the game does two things. Firstly, I think it justifies watching this video. That was awesome. Secondly, it cements my opinion of Luke as one of the best players in Europe. He is very, very good at this game. Thank you to Luke and to Jono for agreeing to be on the stream. Thank you to Ben for recording. Thank you to Joanna and Glenn for running the tournament. It's YouTube, you know the deal. Like, comment and subscribe. I will be back very shortly with round 2 and with my top 10 cards from the Evolution set. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves till next time. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.